Mhm. Hey, Kate.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm being Bob today.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. You don't normally attend these ones, do you?
Not usually.
Yeah. Okay.
You're in the right place. I just am being Bob today.
Yeah, no, it sounds good. I am going to stay off video. I'm not feeling great today, but all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see Master Moody there.
Hey there, guys. A little
Master
bit of a
Connor.
delay on the connection here. All right, so let's get started. Good to see everybody here today. Let's start with some questions that we might have as you guys are starting 2023. And we want to get this to be a big start for 2023. What do we got going on?
Quick question for you, sir.
Okay.
So
Maybe it's not so
I have-
quick. Okay.
maybe it's not, but I have, and I haven't completely chatted with the person that wanted to enroll, but they said that they're leaving in about 3 months, and so normally we have the 400 initial enrollment, and then the 325 monthly tuition, and they were like, "Hey, is there anything that you guys can do with the 400 initial enrollment?" So I haven't chatted with them since they said that they were leaving in 3 months. So that's my quick question.
Well, wait a minute. So they already enrolled.
No, they haven't enrolled. So we had an enrollment talk with them last night in Chula Vista. I didn't do it. My manager in Chula Vista did. And their question was, well, I might be leaving, or we are leaving. I'm not sure. I got to talk to them. We are leaving in about 3 months. And so is there anything you can do with the 400 initial for the 2 kids? So that would be 800.
Hey, let me suggest the answer is,
Okay.
the answer is you're getting stuck in the weeds on something that's so irrelevant at the location you're supposed to be putting no time and energy into at all, that it's not worth the brain power to even think about it. If I guess the more comprehensive answer is there's a possibility they're moving, or they're definitely moving. And if they're definitely moving and you want to give them a 3 or 4 month enrollment, give them a 3 or 4 month enrollment. And if there's a possibility, then enroll them like normal, and they can of course cancel the agreement if they move. So not having that understanding limits it. And while we're at it, we're going to kick off today with Kate, with Linked Selling, aka our Facebook goddess. Is your new title, Kate? I see you're in the car, so you got stuck on scheduling as well.
I did, but it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's not driving. She's not driving and she's in the car, so that's
That's
okay.
what that's
She's not
right. She's
violating the
not
rules.
Yep.
she's not violating the biggest rule is this
Not
this kit
driving.
doesn't work when you're moving.
Yeah, to be totally
Oh.
honest, I have to pick up my dog from the groomer in a little bit, and I just came and did it from the parking lot.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I understand that concept. Well, Kate, let's start with you, and then we'll go back to the various questions and comments or stuff, so we can be respectful of your time in the midst of the dog grooming excursions. How's the actually, you know, in our conversations, December was much stronger than I would have expected. I never expect December to be a huge month for you know, for people raising their hand to do anything other than start in January. But there were pretty good results in December, weren't there? Or am I delusional?
Yeah, no, I mean, there was definitely some tumultuous results from a little bit in the ad spend, but across the board, for the most part, we did have relatively steady costs for what we could normally see and expect in December. And then January so far is having its normal January magic, and things are back down to where they should be and where they were pre-holiday season. So really happy to see that so far. We have a lot of studios that have their opt-in costs in the teens. And even a couple that are down in the like $8 to $10 range as well. So good to see so far for the year. And, you know, we have a lot of new things going for a bunch of new studios with taking advantage of that new year stuff.
Yeah,
Apologies, all of a sudden my voice is going.
there you go. There you go.
But yeah, everything is looking good so far. We have a couple that we're working on getting back down, but overall across the board, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, and I don't know top of my head who we have on the meeting who's working with you and who is not working with you. I do know that the feedback I've gotten from a number of either new or more established clients has been either they're doing it themselves or they're working with somebody else. And then when we kind of nicely strong arm them into working with you, their results double or triple. I know you tend to be kind of modest about that, but you've heard some of those stories just recently. Do you want to share any of that?
Yeah, sure. I know Sal is on this call somewhere. Looks like he may have stepped away, but Sal in California.
Yeah.
We started working with I don't remember if we launched in September or October, but he had been struggling. Hey, Sal, I'm talking about you.
Yeah, I'm here. My son is just sick.
No problem. Sal had launched in the early fall and had been working with some previous other agencies and had, you know, not had as good of results as what we've gotten him over the last couple months. And I feel weird talking about it with him, but yeah, I mean, it's been strong and the conversion rate has been better than what he's seen previously in getting people to actually come through and actually convert into students. And I know that they're working it hard too. With following up with leads and being on top of, you know, getting in touch with people as soon as possible after they come through.
Yeah. And Sal, you had a record first week of the year. If
Hey, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What-
actually, we did. We had 7 the first week. This week we had 3 already yesterday, and I think 2 of them were from Facebook yesterday, and I think last week we had 4 of them from Facebook. So, and just to give Kate a testimony, I did 2 companies before that, and I don't know what kind of magic you guys do, but whatever you guys do, keep that up. Sorry about my kid, but yeah, I'm loving you guys.
Yeah, very good. And so Kate, what else do you have to share with everyone today?
Yeah, so a couple of new things that we're doing. So, of course, this time of year, we're really focused on New Year's resolutions and all of that kind of stuff. So, we have a lot of that playing into the ads right now. But we also have started a couple of birthday party specials. I know a bunch of you also do birthday parties in the studio. So, we did start some ads for that recently. And had, the lead cost is more expensive, but there's a birthday package that we're offering, and I think it's like $250 to rent the room, and then it includes some, a couple of different benefits of the birthday party aspect of things. And we've been getting, opt-ins for $50 to $75 a piece, which, that cost is higher, but if you do get that person to come through, you're looking at the birthday party expense, and the cost of getting that birthday in the room is a nice thing. And plus you get a ton of extra new potential students in with the guests at the birthday party. So throwing that out there, if anyone is interested in that, we can do any of that type of stuff if you're looking for a new offer. But honestly, still the 2 free weeks is still the best offer that we have running. And it's been running for a lot of schools for a long time, but we're always like ready to refresh it, but it just keeps doing well. So a lot of times we're not necessarily refreshing things that are working really well, but we have a bunch of different offers in our back pockets at any time too, if anyone is seeing any stagnation or anything, ready to switch it up for new seasons and things like that.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how the numbers track through on the birthday party offer.
Absolutely.
I think a couple things you mentioned is a key. If you're going to an external market, you want to charge for the birthday party just like you would, just like any place else would charge for the birthday party, and you want to make it a very solid, professional experience. Again, different ones of us have different experiences with birthday parties. I've always found them, when you're having them, very productive, and as far as staff logistics, they're very complicated to get a real machine going. But I've had friends who have done as many as bursts of 60, 70 enrollments in a month after month, from birthday parties combined with effective conversion, effective direct mail follow-up afterwards. So it is a very productive mechanism if you choose to staff up at that level and do it. You just got to make sure you don't like dip your big toe in the water. It's either kind of kick it off and do it or not. The other thing, this is off your subject, Kate, but on the birthday party, on the subject, but off of Facebook, on the birthday party, if you're going to do it big, I just keep reiterating the first thing you want to do is, the minute you enroll everybody at the enrollment conference or at the folder conference, is you want to go ahead and schedule their birthday party at the school, because really where the traffic for referrals comes from internally is with new students, not with brown belts and so forth. So you don't promote birthday parties by posting banners up in the school and handing flyers out and doing all that. What you do is, the day you enroll them or the day after you enroll them, you go ahead and schedule their party at the school. And that was also the idea behind the, I forget what it's called. We've got an old legacy NAVLA program up on the site, but it's the pizza party idea. Was basically, I enroll somebody and I enroll them in January and their birthday is not to December. It was to have a comparable of a birthday party that we could do in the next 90 days, as well as scheduling their birthday party. And if their birthday is in the next, 90, 120 days, to go ahead and schedule their birthday party. But either way, schedule a birthday party and then something else if they weren't having a birthday in the next, near time period. Kate, what are some other lessons of starting January? I would expect January to be huge. One of my points here that we're going to refresh and talk about again this week is, I'm kind of a broken record, but is the marketing. And one of my points was to double or triple down on your Facebook budget. That's a conversation to be had with your team, because the goal is not to enrich Mark Zuckerberg and other shareholders of Meta, but the goal is to increase the flow of leads, even if the cost per lead tends to escalate a bit, if not quite a bit. Where are you seeing the elasticity there on budgets?
There's definitely some room to expand for most of the schools at this point. Those that we're still working on that are a little high right now, we might give it another couple days, but the ones that most people that are in the teens for opt-in costs, there's definitely room for expanding on that. Facebook is very much a demand platform. So the more advertisers that are trying to advertise and get their message out there, the more expensive it gets. So getting in front of people right now is cheaper because all of that holiday spend is now backing off and is not a part of the platform as much anymore. So now, you're competing still with all of the other New Year's type stuff, but that's only going to last another week or two, probably through January here. But there is definitely opportunity to run because it's cheaper to get in front of people on Facebook right now than it would be. So in essence, your opt-in costs might come down, but you also might just get more opt-ins out of it and get in front of more people at a cheaper cost. And that's just a benefit all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody have any questions for Kate? Whether you're questions about what you've got going on right now or questions about working with her, either one.
I'd be interested in chatting again. She did stuff for me before.
Hey,
but
Jeff.
it's been a long time. How are you?
Okay. Yeah, I can shoot you an email. Is it still the same as it was?
Yes.
Okay, great.
There you go. There you go. Hey, and anything else for Kate before we let her go back to?
Yeah, I have a question,
Yeah.
Master
Go ahead.
Oliver.
Go right ahead.
So at some point, tripling down on the Facebook budget, I know Master Oliver talked about that. Is there some point where it becomes not very optimal? Like, is there a certain cap where you hit where it's just performing at its best? And if you go above that, it's just a waste of ad dollars?
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely always that plateau that it can hit. It's going to be different for every single market and what you're trying to target in that market. So that part, what that number is exactly is going to change per person. But one thing that we do always is we're always scaling ad spend in a gradual sense and not necessarily, we're not going from $30 a day to $100 a day in the span of one day. We're gradually bringing it up a little bit and letting the algorithms and everything readjust to the higher spend and then bringing it up again and letting it readjust, making sure that we get to that level that we want it to be. And then once we do start to see it, hit that plateau level, we definitely start to take it back down again and reevaluate to see where we're at. A lot of times we don't hit that very often, depending on the market. Some of the really, really small markets, that's definitely potential. But if you're in a, decently populated area that has plenty of opportunity within it, there's not a huge chance of that. If you get up to $500 a day, I mean, yeah, you're probably going to hit that, but anything in that range of, we start most people at $20 a day, but we have people up to, closer to that $100 a day level, depending on their market.
It would
And
be
everything in
you,
between.
Kate, would you agree that it's more pliable? You have more room to go up and down in a higher end than you would with AdWords, for example. Like what we find on AdWords, there's only so much click inventory. So you should have a cooperative AdWords campaign, for example. A lot of you guys have. You can only buy so many clicks. There's only so many people searching for activities for kids, martial arts lessons. You're buying clicks for specificity. Whereas Facebook operates differently. So there's more top end room on Facebook. So so don't get those two things mixed up.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And, don't get me wrong. We don't profit at all based on what your ad spend is. So we're not like fans of let's just give Mark Zuckerberg more money. We want to make sure that you're finding that perfect niche between ad spend and the return that it's giving you on a daily and monthly basis. So we're not going crazy with ad spend. Do you have to spend some money to make some money? Of course. But, in this situation for martial arts, for the most part, it's relatively on the lower cost side of things to get in front of enough people that gets you really strong results each month.
Yeah.
I think Sal said something about, he had used other people and then he used link selling and they did a better job. And that's one thing that you see a lot of people, especially in the martial arts industry. We're doing very poor jobs of doing Facebook marketing for people. So it's real easy for them to just spend money and not do a very effective job with the Facebook marketing. And so but they will tend to have, one or two people that'll give them glowing testimonials. But if one or two people out of the 20 or 30 other people that don't necessarily get good results from them, those guys, they probably aren't publishing their testimonials, right? So you got to be real careful, and that's why we recommend Kate, because their team does a good job of continuing to look at the data, adjust the ads, manage what's going on, and so that's why we're recommending her. And you can tell from the people that are using her that have probably used somebody else before that they're doing a good job.
Yeah, and even on that note, Master Moody, we've worked with several different agencies who started out really well for 4 months to 1 to 3 months.
Mhm.
And then it turned out they were a one-trick pony, and when they needed to pay attention and adjust and monitor, A/B split test, and do all the complicated stuff. And Kate, as you well know, I mean, which is typical for my personality, I spent a year and a half after talking to you guys learning how to do every piece of it myself, so I would know how to teach it to everyone. And then you and I talk at least twice a month, as well as you send me 55 pages of reports, a couple times a month. So we're paying really close attention, but what's happening is you guys are on top of it every week, multiple times a week, and adjusting, A/B split testing, and so forth. And again, nobody else that we've worked with or our clients have worked with seem to be able to hold up after about 90 days. Is that a fair way to say it?
Yeah, I mean, and probably 75% of the people that we're working on have been on for 2, 3. I think we're starting our 4th year of working with this group. So there are some that have been on for pretty much that whole time. So it definitely takes some extra effort, and your normal set it and forget it type agency doesn't necessarily work out well with that. But we found a nice niche in this environment, and with working with 30 something martial arts schools at any given time, we're able to get that feedback as well and hear from you guys what's working, what's not, trying different things, and then being able to share it with the rest of the group and have everyone contribute to what the success is of the program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. May I just add another testimonial to that? What I
Yeah,
love
go ahead.
about, like I said, I went with 2 Facebook other companies before Kate, and what they do that's really awesome, and Chaz is really awesome too, is that they have all the names of the people, and on Google Docs, where you could actually touch base with them and keep a whole list of people. And that's something that the first 2 Facebook people didn't do. And I think that is so valuable, because now I and my other 2 people that can follow up with them know who we've talked to and stuff like that. So I think it's just valuable, and stop looking, just go with Kate. And I mean that sincerely.
Yeah. Good feedback, Sal.
I appreciate that.
And last chance. Any last question for Kate before? Are you picking up or dropping off the puppy now?
Picking up, so
There
it's
you
gonna be nice and clean and
Yeah.
nice haircut.
There you go. There you go.
Mad that you abandoned her.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. Mine always get so much attention when they go out to the groomers or the daycare that they are kind of sad to come home. Going once.
Kate, how do I get a hold of you if I want to chat with you a little bit about opportunities?
Yeah, sure. I have a Calendly link. I'll post it in the Facebook group, or anyone, half the people on this call could give you my contact info too.
Got it.
Yeah, is it Kate@linkselling.com, or how is your
Kate
email?
Gaudet at linkselling.com.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, when you get the puppy home, post that in the group again. We posted a number of times, William, in the Facebook group, or you can just give her an email, Kate.Gaudet. Did I get that right?
You got it. Yep.
At linkedselling.com. And the name is, they do Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Did I hit the gamut, or is there more?
That pretty much covers the email.
There you go. There you go. And Kate, we haven't done a lot of experimentation with LinkedIn for the martial arts schools. It's a completely different environment from the Facebook group. The one thing, as you know, we've been doing a lot of it for our primary businesses. The one possibility that I see that would be very productive is kind of the old Chet Holmes Dream 100 list, and going after CEOs of businesses, going after orthodontists and other people in those businesses and so forth. And I've had a very productive time over the years, far predating social media, of almost by accident, sometimes intentionally, of getting the HR and C-suite people of the largest employer in the state, the major sports teams, C-suite executives, the major sports teams, different people like that then led to lots of other opportunities. So I do think there's some possibilities there of targeting the owners and the C-suite executives and the HR people, the biggest employers in the area, as well as all of the orthodontists and different people who have our target audience rounded up.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
definitely.
As far as the educators, I'm not sure it's where the
Yeah.
principals and teachers hang out, but for a lot of those others, I think there's some possibilities there. Well,
Yeah.
Kate,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Hopefully your puppy now looks properly groomed and is happy.
Yep.
I have a couple of administrative things for us to start off with. And one is a request. Delfino, you just put out your new book. It is Kid Goals to Life Goals, Parent Secrets to Successful Kids. And Master Moody and I have both gone in there and given it a glowing 5-star review. I'm sure you're very welcome, but I'm sure any and all of our
I'd
members.
share it. Apparently I can't share the screen, but I'd share it on Amazon, but I shared it in the Facebook group on Amazon.
Yeah, we post, there you go. We posted the direct link to Amazon in the Facebook group, and I did suggest there that anybody who has a book, especially if it's a fairly recent one, that you do the same thing and request that everybody go in. One simple hack is, if you are going in to help everybody else, anybody else out, is go in and purchase it. And in most cases, they're very inexpensive, including the Kindle version or the Kindle Unlimited version or whatever. Go in and purchase it, and then go back after you've purchased it and give it a 5-star review, because Amazon prioritizes the verified purchasers. And so the more people you can get to purchase it, and the more you can get the more people you can get to purchase it, but more importantly, the more that you can get to go purchase it and then do a review, the higher it'll prioritize those reviews, the more credible the reviews get. And I would, certainly like to, just like, Google reviews, if you're going to put a book up on Amazon for the credibility of you're a published author on Amazon, one, we all know we're not going to make any money from selling a book on Amazon or anywhere else, but we're going to make a lot of money by using it as a credibility tool and pass along tool and a free offer and passing along to teachers. There's a huge list that we won't go into now. But try to get at least 10 people to go buy the book and be a verified purchaser, and then give it a 5-star review, and then get those people and anybody else you can to go put the 5-star reviews as helpful. Because if you start getting, and we may never, but if you start getting some other reviews and some of them are less than favorable, Amazon prioritizes verified purchasers, and they verify the reviews that others have deemed helpful. So do both of those. So I'm sure Delfino would appreciate a 5-star review. Delfino, let's see if we can launch it with 10 or 20 5-star reviews. And that, don't make it your priority. The Google reviews are more important, but go get your 20 excited top students to go, pick it up and buy it, be a verified purchaser, and ask them to do a 5-star review as well.
Well, and you can do a little bit of interactive, once they review you with your book, because now maybe they're jazzed up about your book, then send them a thank you note and ask them to review you on Google, because they may not have done that. So now you can kind of combine that. Sometimes they haven't got off their butt to review you on Google and the other platforms, and now you can get them to review you on Google because now they're in the mode of saying something nice about you. You know, a lot of times the review on Amazon is going to be a lot about, oh, you know, Master Candia is the best guy in the world and, you know, great instructor and his book is awesome, blah, blah, blah. A lot of that stuff could be just part of the Google review.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, we've got some other people that, you know, and I know Red Publishing helped Master Candia on his book. Jeff Ellis is got a book, and some of the other guys, Ken Gibson recently published his book. So some of the rest of you, Paul Pendergast wrote a book. You guys should follow those same rules if you haven't done that already. Jeff Cash is working on his.
Yeah, there you go. And again, I mean, use the book in its proper context. It's something that you give away free with every first intro. It should be something that you get 50 copies and you take them around all the schools and give them to principals, assistant principals, you know, the top echelon of all the schools, give all the local, you know, the school libraries a copy. It should be something that you can send to the local radio stations and perhaps become a topic of conversation on the talk radio. By that, I mean the talk radio stations. You can send it to the local media, making sure you get to the right person. And, you know, there's what, 1 million or more books published a year. So they're all pretty immune to, you know, they're going to do a feature story on you in the paper just because you have a book. But it does position you as an expert on the topic when that conversation comes up.
Yeah,
So,
the radio station doesn't always have the author come to their radio station and say, I'll talk to you.
No.
Right. So that, yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So, but there's a number of other ways to use it. We've been through that path a lot, coaching a number of people how to use it productively. The one thing I will tell you is don't let your author celebrity go to your head and try to create that as a separate business funnel, because that almost never, and I mean like almost 9,999 out of 100 turns into anything that's.
Well, they could pick up, I don't mean to pitch this, Master Oliver, but this one that Tracy and I did, Business of Becoming an Author.
Yeah.
Can't get this on Amazon. I should probably have something where we give this for free to everybody.
Yeah.
Here, and then this has a huge list of stuff they can do with their book too.
Good.
So that's probably something we'll figure out a way to get that to everybody free. And so you don't have to go buy it, but maybe or give everybody a gift card so they can go on Amazon and then buy it.
Or go buy it and give it a 5-star review so they have.
Yeah, we'll figure out some way to make sure everybody gets that. But that's got a list of all these things that you just talked about, so we don't have to use up time here for that.
Yeah, and that's good. And I will beg for you know, we've got that new book that's not a martial arts marketing book. It's quickly becoming one. I'm a little over halfway done with rewriting it, but anybody who hasn't yet, and a bunch of you have, I would beg that you go to Amazon, including Sensei Lawrence in the UK, and pick it up. So you're a verified purchaser, and then give it a 5-star review, because it is very helpful. I'm trying to get that over. I think there's 16 right now. I'm trying to get that over 20, at least, to get it kind of kicked off. But let's move forward, and I'm going to now be a broken record before I turn them over to you, Master Moody. I know that we went through last time when I was unable to be here, this piece that I emailed, texted, faxed, posted in the group, and we're beating it to death talking about it. Priority order implementation for kicking off 2023. Hopefully everybody recognizes this and is already kind of sick to death of the topic. But the 4 points are pretty simple. Massive staff training to kick off the new year, raise your rates. 3, massive marketing, and 4, know your numbers. And we talked a little bit about marketing with Kate, and there's a number of questions, which I will remind everybody again. One is, get in the habit of every day going into the member group and posing questions, posting results, commenting on other people's questions, and post and one thing or another, it is a way to really generate some massive interaction. So let me start with just the pricing issue once again. We keep seeing the true $1 million a year schools. I see one or two that are on the path. And Paul, your mission this year is what, 1.5 million? I'm trying to get you to make it 2 million. Where did you end the year at?
1.5.
You ended out at 1.5.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So I'm trying to get you to do 2 million this year.
That'd be
but
nice.
1.5 feels nice, doesn't it?
It feels really good. I was looking at the statistics from when I first joined the group.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a little over 5 years. And I think when I first came into the group, I think it was a little over 700,000. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. And as always, very welcome. You know, where we are gratified and enjoy what we do is when people are doubling and tripling, and where it gets frustrating, pissed off, and irritating is when people are not doing that. I must say. So you're a joy to work with, Paul. Oh, and by the way, you remind me of the meeting coming up in Clearwater. Thursday for Quick Start, Friday, Saturday for everybody.
Yeah, I just booked my flight.
Yeah. The rooms in Clearwater, and I remind everybody, this was a venue that we've been to before, and there was practically an uprising, including practically a petition, including Sal and Jan as ringleaders, to get us to go back to this venue because everybody loved this venue. And Sal, I'm not sure the idea, because he just bought a house in Coronado Island and lives on the Pacific Ocean, and is always desirous of going to the Atlantic Ocean or the Gulf for some reason. But it is an area that apparently in February is extremely popular. We jumped to great hoops to try to research when spring break starts, when it ends, when the timeline would be. And I will say that Clearwater Beach is not where the college students are going. Clearwater Beach is where the more affluent folks are going. But the hotels are booking up, and one thing or another. Bob, who's having some technical issues today, continues to research. Paul, you ended up at the Marriott, which is next door or down the street.
Yeah, I looked at that. Yep.
Yep. Paul, I've been looking at some Airbnbs and some other choices as well. Typically what we've done is the Sand Pearl is the really nice option, and Hilton is the cheap option, and the rooms at the Hilton next door are going for $600 a night now. So there are a lot of options around the area, including you just have a rental or an Uber and you're over in Clearwater proper or in Tampa proper, because it's very close to there. But if you're going to be right on the beach, you need to book quick, and you need to do a little research to find something that's going to be in the price range that you want it to be in. And there certainly are options. It's just not going to be at the Sand Pearl or at the Hilton right now. So that's one thing. As a reminder, book your tickets. We've been seeing the ticket rates pretty cheap, and hopefully we don't continue to have the Southwest problem and the FAA problems. If I interpreted the news correctly, 6,700 flights were grounded yesterday because of our government's incompetence in a FAA software crash, and then Southwest managed to crash the system. That's what I got caught up in over the holidays. So hopefully we don't have any of those issues ongoing. Although the idea of solving government incompetence in 30 days would be the miracle of the century. I'm not sure we'll accomplish that in a century, much less in a month. But I would remind everybody of that, is make sure you have booked your room and are planning to be there for that. And now let's continue on with our 4-point checklist. And I'm going to, again, broken record, talk a little bit about pricing and then shift to marketing here. But I want to remind everybody that the kickoff the new year, the number one highest priority is massive staff training. Make sure everybody in your purview is in good shape. And By the way, that becomes the dumbest excuse I've ever heard for people not to attend a live meeting. They'll say, well, I don't have any good staff yet. They're not fully trained. These live meetings are rare in context. You should cancel classes, tell everybody that you're doing a high-level staff training to help them improve their teaching skills and their competency in interacting with them, and show up and or put the skeleton crew on and alert and warn everybody that you have the skeleton crew on. It is something that's valuable enough, and I don't know how to juggle it against. I did with another organization a comparable mastermind type of meeting last week that was 8 hours and then 8 hours all on Zoom. And I got to tell you, the productivity of doing that level of intensity on video conference versus live was not even in the ballpark. The lunch conversations, the dinner conversations, the time away from the school with a blank pad to detail out your implementation can't be minimized. And I know an awful lot of people, almost every event we've ever had, the feedback of the actual content during the day was extremely good. And many, many times the one breakthrough was in a hallway conversation or a conversation over dinner with somebody else, as opposed to and it's where the recordings never do it justice, because we try to live cast. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't work. We've got a very good videographer who records these things, but I don't think it really captures and gets you anywhere near being there in person. So that was
you have to change states.
Yes.
Not US states, but change state from where you're at to some other place to really make big breakthroughs. So there's not really any, whatever the reasons are in your head about why you can't possibly leave and it's just never going to work. Those aren't really true.
Yeah.
What are the topics that we're covering there in Clearwater?
Well, I guess you'll have to show up to find out.
Well, I am gonna be there. I'm just thinking about my crew. Do I take my part-timers over there?
No, I wouldn't bring the part-timers. No, we're going to focus on New Year's marketing predominantly.
Perfect.
The ongoing evergreen topics that have to keep being revisited are fixing the renewal process and fixing retention. But to kick off the new year, I want to massively ramp up and solidify everybody's marketing. So it will predominantly be marketing. The events that we have in conjunction with things like the Black Belt test, or the events that we do behind the scenes at Disney or West Point, Annapolis, those are invaluable for staff. This one would be bring the full timers, don't bring the part-time assistant instructors. Is that a fair way to say that, Master Moody?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't think the part-timers can be the ones that run the classes while you're on.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I would say be sure you bring whoever is doing sales and marketing. If there's somebody in addition to you doing that.
Yeah, don't make the mistake of you need to get the information, bring it back to them because you need to be the guru. That's the exact opposite. I like it when my staff hears stuff from, even though Master Oliver and Master Smith say a lot of the same things, some different things than me, when they hear it from the same exact words from Master Smith, then they go, wow, that's amazing. That's brilliant. And I'm like, yeah, good. And, it's the same exact thing. So it's going to be, it's super valuable for them to hear it in a different context and have it revalidated, and then have them generate some ideas, and for you guys to have the time together. So the more staff you can bring, the better, so that you can work together moving forward.
Yeah, that's right.
In regards to,
go ahead.
Well, in regards to a program director, I'm considering someone and bringing them on kind of prime time, kind of full / part-time hourly. Is that something you recommend? I know you really recommend stress on getting, just full time. But would something like that possibly work? And should I bring that person to Clearwater?
You mean as
I-
a job interview?
Not as an interview, just as a, if I'm gonna bring them on board, maybe 20, 30 hours a week, because that's considered part-time, isn't it?
Well, I don't like a part-timer touching intros. I mean, I've had 16-year-old instructors teach first intros if taught properly, but I don't like them touching the enrollment process or touching the renewal process. Okay, I'm happy to have a ton of part-time leadership team people, 4 at a time, helping to run classes and so forth. But as far as, if you have somebody who's not highly incentivized full-time, let's say you got somebody working a day job and coming in at night, you really have a hard time having that the person that you're turning over the primary driving the business to. And I always feel, and we've still got a couple of people who have made extremely slow progress since we started working with them, who are enamored of free labor. And I think it's a big mistake, and enamored of having people who have a primary focus somewhere else who are coming in to help out at night on a part-time basis. I think that's a mistake. So if that answers the question, and by the way, as far as delegating, you can delegate 90% of the time on the floor in any given class, with you still being there as a master instructor to be a presence on the floor when you're a single school operator. But the last thing I would ever delegate is marketing strategy and setting up the major marketing drivers, right? So if I was personally running one of my schools, even when I had 6 of them, if I was at that location running it, I went and talked to the principal and talked to the PE teacher and set up the elementary school programs. And then even if I had a full-time instructor, I showed up to make sure it was off and running smoothly, sometimes staying there for most of it. And then I made sure that I dealt with setting up the movie theaters and dealt with that stuff. And then I personally did the renewal conferences and the enrollment conference and oversaw the intro process, even though I rarely taught any of the first or second intro. When I stepped into a school as an owner operator, the last thing you delegate is the marketing strategy. The next to last thing you delegate is doing the renewals face-to-face, belly-to-belly. The third to last thing you delegate is actually doing the enrollment conference. And then the fourth thing you delegate, fourth to last, I guess, is making sure the intros have been confirmed, greeting them at the door, making sure the processes are handled, making sure the renewal folder conferences have been done. All of that stuff is stuff that if you try to delegate it, you find pretty quickly that it falls through the cracks and hasn't been happening. Does that make sense? And I've seen very high performing school where somebody who was just, to use sales terminology, a closer, handed off to somebody and they say, well, I just hate talking to people and asking for money and I want to be on the floor teaching. Well, I think that's almost always wrong. And and this is not this is what I was very clear on all the way back to 1984, 1983 with my own schools. But when we took over NAPNA years ago, is they had an awful lot of programs which were how to hire a program director, and they were telling master instructors, your problem is you need to hire a salesperson, put them in the office and let them make sales. And I made them burn and shred all of that material because I said, this is the worst advice ever. And the reason that it was the advice that they were giving is John Graydon didn't like to do sales, and he hired Rob Calisante to be his program director while he was in med school. And Rob perceived that to be the best practice, although John never ran a particularly successful school. And, Rob wasn't that much of a program director. So, it just is a bad direction to go, is to try to delegate or to abdicate to somebody who's not in there full time. And when you're a single school operator, that should be you. And when you're a multi-school operator, you got to make sure the retention is good, that the floor is handled. But that's the easiest thing to do because you're developing those people internally. You're developing a great leadership staff, and it's easy to keep the floor spinning, honestly. it's hard to have somebody sit in front of somebody and ask them for $35,000, and to ask them for 1,000 initially and $997 a month or whatever. So I don't like to delegate that until it's absolutely time to be multis and hand that off. Does that make sense, William?
Yes, sir. With that said, you're focusing on marketing. Should some of us should we be there for Thursday for quick start? Is basically what I'm asking at this point.
Should who be there for quick start?
Us as school owners,
In Florida, even.
if we can.
Well, our conversation, the quick start meeting at the live event is designed for new people who haven't ever been to one. Right. And it's designed to focus on pricing, on fixing intro conversion rates, and then marketing, but marketing at a much less lower level than even what we do on the meetings here usually, other than that it's compacted into a longer day. So you've been to a lot of stuff, whether that's useful for you or not, you can leave it up to your own decisions. If you have a new program director, it's a perfect venue to bring them to, or if somebody's new and they've never been to a live event, it's a good way to get introduced to the concepts and the principles.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir, just one last thing. I hate to interrupt. Just to confirm the dates, it's from the 16th to the 18th, correct?
16th is quick start. 17th, 18th is the main meeting. And the 19th by invitation only is the $1 Million Plus schools.
Okay, thank you, sir. See you then.
And by the way, the $1 Million Plus schools, this is going to be pretty informal. We're not going to sit in the same meeting room we've been in for 3 days. My hope would be we find the tables on the beach in front of the Sand Pearl, and all have lunch while we're having a conversation on the beach. So if we can pull that off, they have a fire pit and tables that are literally in the sand on the most beautiful beach in the world. That's our preferred venue. Master Moody, last time we went down there with our crew, we actually ended up in the lobby in those big conversation pits, but hopefully we'll end up at.
We've got a lot of good places to be, but we're not going to be sitting in a conference room.
We're not going to be in the conference room, although the conference room overlooks the beach as well. The West Point venue is pretty nice too, because it overlooks the Hudson, but this is a couple steps higher.
Yeah,
in my view. Okay, let's move forward. Master Moody, as you know, I have to turn it over to you in a minute. And Mindy, hopefully you got my message about follow up for the later webinar. Yes. Okay, good. The two things I wanted to make sure I hit, Jeff, you have a school program that starts Monday. Yes.
Tuesday. Yes.
Tuesday. And you have some questions specifically on how to kick that off strong.
Yeah, just to make sure I'm doing it right, because it's the format you say not to do, but I've been doing it for over a decade. So I just want to make sure I'm maximizing my effectiveness in that format. Yeah.
3 simple points. And I guess my first question is, how many kids are registered to attend?
I believe I have 20 at one school and 20 at another school, or
okay,
close to.
Do you have name, address, email, and phone number, parents' names for all of them?
I should be getting the majority of that this time. It'll be the first time in a while that I've been able to get that information ahead of time, because I finally have the lady that's running the whole program. I've been talking directly to her now instead of getting roundabouted to it.
Okay. Well, I guess number one, I would have liked to have had most of that information 2 or 3 weeks ago. So what we'll typically do is about a 6-week promotional cycle, where we do PE Teach for the Day a couple of for all the kids, and have the flyers go out at least 3 or 4 times in Friday folders or Wednesday folders, whatever that individual school does. So we'll make sure at least 3 rounds of flyers for the registration go out. Everything that they do electronically, so email and voicemail or whatever they do. 30 by 60 posters on the front doors, maybe even bandit signs, just or A-frame signs about the thing where the parents pick the kids up. But then as the kids are registering, we want to get that information, because as the registrations are coming in, we're doing outbound calls, emails, text, voicemails to them, setting a time for them to come to the martial arts school for a uniform pickup and for a class before the program starts. So, so we'll get it as we go along the way. Then what we'll do is we'll promote the first day as parent orientation, so that we get all the parents there. And sometimes I've had it be where the school gave me like a registration sheet and marked out phone numbers and email addresses, you know, because they were assholes about it, to use, you know, to be kind. And then what I do is I give out the permission slips to all the parents and get them to fill it out right there on the spot. And any parent who didn't show up, I send it home with the child and tell them I need it next time. If having followed them out to the parking lot to catch mom at the curb didn't work, right? So that's the first thing, is getting all the information, getting on the phone to them, text, email, etc., inviting them to come down to the school. And I always tell them, well, the after school program includes a uniform, but we don't bring them to the school. We have to size people up, and we want to take a regular class as well as an orientation. So we get them to come down to the school. Step number 2 is the minute they show up at the school, we use that as the first intro. And then we schedule them for a follow-up lesson, and in most cases do the enrollment conference right there at the second lesson, regardless of whether the actual program has started or not. And then the conversation is the same conversation we use over and over and over again of, you know, normally it's $800 to enroll. Since you registered for XYZ Elementary, we give you a $400 discount towards the new enrollment. So it's only going to be $400. Since we'll give you credit for that. And by the way, thanks for the donation that you made to the school. And then just do a normal enrollment conference. Does that all make sense?
I think Jeff can apply this to his. I might just, how many weeks is it?
7 for this one.
7 weeks, once a week?
Once a week for 7 weeks, yeah.
I mean, he could theoretically do this twice. He could cycle through the whole thing twice. I mean, you don't have the information early. You could use the first 2 weeks of this to set up this, that the parents show up at the third one at the school, and then that they show up at your school at the whatever one, or you could do it once, but they could still cycle through the whole thing. It's just, you don't have the stuff ahead of time. So you could, and this is for everybody running any of these kind of programs.
Yeah.
It's not just for Jeff. But you could, because you didn't have the information ahead of time, you could get the information, use the first 2 to do the prep work that Master Oliver's talking about. And then the third session is the one where everybody's supposed to show up at the school, so that you can basically do the first intro like that. And then they can show up at your school for all these other reasons. And then the graduations at your school.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I
Sir,
can
can
get
I
him
have
to-
a clarification? Whatchamacallit, when they take the first lesson, that's the like mass intro or whatever. Now, when you're saying we set up the second lesson, that's at our school?
Yeah. Well, I didn't use the word mass intro.
Yeah, be careful about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we still run every one of them at our school through an intro process.
Right.
Not to invite them to the classes, but actually set up an intro so that we can talk to the parents, pre-frame them a bit, that kind of thing.
Well, and that would be in practical terms, we always had such big numbers with them. They were coming into a beginner class. But what we were doing is that's a day to come in and pick up the uniform. Now, you don't have as big a numbers. You could certainly do a dedicated first intro time where you bring them in for the first time and then you do the second time. Gustavo, what I don't like about the mass intro language is we're never going to be having 40 people in the room at one time doing a pitch to all 40 for them to enroll. And there are people running around the industry doing a mass enrollment pitch of some sort. And I have done it a number of times, unfortunately, just out of necessity. Well, I don't know if unfortunately, it's a happy problem to have that much traffic, but it never ends up with the closing ratios that you need, never ends up with as solid enrollment as you need. It's hard to get the type of down payment and commitment that we need when you're talking to 20 people at once rather than when you're talking to a family together.
And for the most part, it's not necessary if you follow the system right.
No. It's fair. I mean, what I'm talking about is we had 250 intros in a month, and you just, you do what you can do. Otherwise, you want to bring them in for first intro, bring them into a second intro, sit down face to face and do the enrollment. And then, Jeff, over 7 weeks, the problem is at the end of 7 weeks, one, a lot of people, you end up with a participation level that falls off over the period. But two is, we know we want people in twice a week to get in up and running. And so anytime I've been forced into that, what I said is it's twice a week, 1 day a week at the school, 1 day a week at our school. And the classes at our school, you have any of these choices available. But what I'd like you to do to be on track over the period is 1 at the elementary school, 1 at our school. And if you can make more than that, you're welcome to. But then I treat it exactly the same way as all the kids want the uniform. They start wearing the uniform and I tell them, what you need to do is come to the school to get the uniform, because that's the uniform sizing pickup. And then you'll get a chance to take your first class at the martial arts school.
Okay.
But don't discount the fact that they don't ever have to do the 7 lessons at the school for you to enroll them. The minute they've raised their hand and expressed interest, you can get them enrolled before the thing ever starts. And you've just got to give them an excuse. And the excuse is it's normally X and we give you this much discount for credit for having registered for that. And by the way, Billy, you get to now be one of our assistants in the class and be an assistant instructor because you're going to be not a lot, but a little bit ahead of everybody else.
Okay.
Right. Master Moody, where I wanted to go next, and I'm going to hand it off to you, is make sure we've really grilled and beat to death movie promotions, because there's a ton of stuff coming up in the spring, including some big Marvel movies, and then just New Year's marketing to hit all cylinders.
Okay. Do we have, Mindy, are you accessing the member site or? Or not?
I can.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and one of the things in there, Mass Moody, is the release dates of all the movies for the spring that focuses on what'll be the blockbusters. For instance, May 5th, Guardians of the Galaxy, Super Mario Brothers, Shazam, Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse are probably going to be the biggest home runs for the spring, I would guess.
Right. Okay, perfect. So guys,
on that note, I'm going to turn them over to you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and for everybody, these type of promotions that we were talking about for Jeff, the other piece, Jeff, I was going to mention, I think Master Oliver went quickly through it. When you have the name, phone, email, all the information for the parents, that should be a constant flow of communication to them throughout the 7 weeks. So the homework assignments going home, an email about hey, we sent a homework assignment going home, a text message saying, hey, I just want to text you that we sent you an email about the homework assignment going home, that kind of stuff. Because see, that's not obtrusive or intrusive. You're not, hey, pitching them. You're saying, hey, we sent a homework assignment home for your students. And so you can get those you can look at on the member site about the school promotions. So for anybody doing anything that's like an outreach program, you end up having 2 kinds of scenarios with kids. And this applies to the movie promotions. One scenario when you're dealing with people, really are people, but let's use kids as a special case. If I'm dealing with people that can set appointments, parents, or people at a movie theater, or people at a festival, I set the appointment immediately, get them in. If I'm at my school, I do an intro then. So think about this rule. If I can set an appointment, I set the appointment immediately, and then confirm the snot out of it, or I do the appointment, set or do the appointment. If I can't do that because it's a kid, right? In your case, Jeff, it's a kid. I can't set the appointment. because the kid just came into class. The parents weren't required to bring them because it's maybe an after school program, or I work with the school to be at their turkey trot and it's all the kids and I have something there and I'm doing stuff with the kids, or I'm doing a school talk and I get permission slips. I don't have the parent there. I don't have the capability of setting an appointment. What I need is the information. I need all the information, the permission slip, so that I can continually communicate with them over time, over a short amount of time, intensely, so that I can then create the appointment. Does that make sense? So everybody should think about these things in two different ways. What we never do, never prefer to do, is hand out information. What we also don't prefer to do is hand out one piece of information and then hope and pray that we get a response. So think about all your marketing that's going to be outreach type generated. I'm either going to be trying to get, and that's really the definition of direct response. I'm going to get a response by setting an appointment, or I'm going to get information. This would be like your website. You're getting information, and then I'm going to respond quickly to call them, set an appointment. That's the number one thing. Or continue to send them information like intensely and forever. Think about intensely and forever, not one time and hope and pray, because that's probably not going to work. Does that make sense? So kind of everything in that format, if you think about it, then that'll help you out. And so for you, Jeff, I think that'll get you a lot better results than what you had before, if you do those things that we've talked about. And again, that applies for everybody. If you think about that as a general rule for anything that you're doing. Delfino's got his book. You can send the book out, then you got to follow up and continue to do stuff with that. So, okay. And any other questions on that to go along with those types of promotions? Anything like that you're wondering, well, how the hell do I do that? Go ahead, Jeff.
The follow-up systems. So I have Zen Planner, which honestly is such a pain in the ass to do the automations and like set the emails correctly. You can't put any pictures in there, any of that stuff. So what is the best, or what are some sites that you would recommend?
You're going to actually ask us the question we get asked all the time, which is what CRM to use.
Not the CRM.
Zen Planner is like a CRM.
Yeah, but I'm saying what system to send emails, texts, and that kind of thing, like to set up the auto things.
Those are called in the grand scope. Those are called CRMs, customer relationship management tools. So if you don't want to use, this gets into another topic. So I'll take just a minute on this.
Sure.
All of the systems that you all have suck. I know this because they all suck, because they're 60% adequate and 40% crap, inadequate, and they just don't work well. I don't care which system you have. Even if you have one that you say you like, I will ask a series of questions about the ones you like, and they will not do the things that we would like them to do. Okay, whatever system you have. So you're using Zen Planner. Yeah, it does good for billing and some other stuff and those kind of things. We use it at marketing for billing, does really good for that kind of stuff. Doesn't really do good for, we use a different system for emailing and stuff like that. So you're kind of asking that question. If you want to do better emailing, simple way to go with stuff like that. Aweber is pretty good. Constant Contact, MailChimp, some of those systems. I kind of like recommending those for that stuff because they integrate with a lot of other pieces. On the martial arts side, some of you guys are using like Rainmaker, Kicksite, what's another one? Even the Champions Way guys, which is Perfect Mind Now. All those are fine. 60% adequate, 40% crap. So, and again, you think it's better than 40%, great. I'll ask you a series of questions and I will outline what they don't do. If we had one that we could recommend, we'd tell you all to use it, we'd probably partner with them. But it just doesn't work that way. But I like those other systems. And then once you get used to one, just stay with it is my advice for everybody. Don't switch around because the headache of switching is enormous. That's usually the big headache. But that's why it was my first reaction to anybody asking the question is just use what you're using, because the headache of doing something new is a big pain in the butt. Implementation cost is very, very high for changing systems that you're using. That's the headache. Even for me, I've got an engineering degree and I hate all that crap. And I use more technical stuff than most of you. because I built my own system once. I built it multiple times and I've done all that. And you've heard Master Oliver and I talk about these stories. But yeah, that's a good set of systems. For texting, we like Call Loop. I also like the system Sales Message. I like systems where you can do MMS, multimedia, multimedia message service. So you can send photos, and like we do when we send you guys photos in our text messages to tell you to come to this meeting, those are much nicer. So if you can use a system like that, it's better. So I like Sales Message. I like we like Call Loop for bulk ones, just because it's easy to use and it's inexpensive. So Call Loop would be a good one for use for that application. Don't try to overthink it or be super fancy for those kind of things, but a constant stream of them for 20 people, it's worth. You could upload the list of 20 to Constant Contact, upload the list of 20 to Call Loop, and just, you know, before the class, I'm going to send a homework assignment. After the class, I sent a homework assignment next week. Before the class, after the class, maybe in the middle, some other messages and stuff. And then reminding them to come to your school of the other piece that they got to do. Hopefully that helps everybody. Okay, so let's go on to movie promotions. And when we say movie promotions, I like to make sure, I think we get a little too narrow in that scope. It should be events too. So it's the beginning of the year, even if you're in a cold weather place, because I could say the same thing in Arizona when it's hot. There's still a lot of events going on because people are still doing stuff. This is a really good time of year for movies or events. So we always talk about movie internally for me, for my school, talk about movie and event promotions. And it's really easy to find the movies. Master Oliver just mentioned a bunch of them. If you're not in Ant-Man in February, you're missing out. But also, if you're just like, don't have a theater near you, or, you know, your town doesn't like theaters or movies, events. So if you Google events or Google festivals, does anybody want to try that? You think that you don't have any events near you? Let's have a volunteer, like somebody. Okay. All right. Jeff wants to do it. I know you're in that narrow area of geography. He's got a beautiful town, but it's real narrow. So let's do, so Jeff, you can unmute. What's your zip code? I got to share the screen. I make me host, Mindy. I got to be able to share.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just a participant. Not that you guys aren't all great being participants, but I can't share. Okay, there we go. Now I can share. Okay, I should be sharing. No, not sharing what I want to share. Share should. Okay, so we're gonna do events. What's your zip code, Jeff?
92651.
So events. So you guys would. So here's Laughing in Laguna. I don't know what that is. But so here's calendar for events near Laguna Beach, California. So this is what you could look at. So here's some, whatever that is, that looks cool. You kind of want to go to Laguna, right? Because there's like whale watches and stuff. Let's just use somebody else's. I don't mean to not do Jeff, but we talked to Jeff a bunch. Let's pick somebody else. So let's pick Krista. I'm going to pick somebody else. Jeff, because we've asked you a bunch of stuff. I just want to pick somebody else.
I volunteer.
I'm too jealous. I'm too jealous to pick Laguna Beach because I want to go there. So Krista, give me your zip code.
98040.
98040. Events. But Jeff, there was some there that would be cool, I think. So Seattle. So that's too easy. Seattle, there's a bunch. So now a lot of these wouldn't be good, right? I mean, you don't want to go to like the beer festival if you're marketing to kids. I mean, that might be good. You wouldn't want to go to an evening with David Nyhill. This probably isn't the best site because that's for tourists visiting. Events, festivals, fun things to do. Seattle Art Walks possibly would work. It depends on whether it's close to your school. Have you gone to any of these, or do you have any medieval fair? That could be, but that's probably too far away. But this is the kind of stuff you'd look for. Remodeling expo, these can be really good. Like home expos can be really, really good because people that have money go to these kind of events. Jeff, that might be good for you too to look at. For anybody else. I don't know if model trains would be good unless there's lots of people going to model trains. So this filters out ones you wouldn't want to do as much as it would filter in ones that would. Some for MLK Day, there would be potentially ones. I don't know if you want to do monster truck, probably not. So this is an easy way. The other thing you do is a different search. Don't forget to do any of those look good, Krista?
Some of them, yes, sir. We're a little off from Seattle. We're on Mercer Island, so it's a.
Well, that's right. But this is your zip code, though.
Yeah.
Well, let's look specifically Mercer Island. Okay, I'm sorry. So Mercer Island, Washington festivals. Here's Eventbrite. So here's some that vegan night market Seattle. That's on St. Patrick's Day. You could have a bunch of vegan drunk people. Okay. So for you, I wouldn't do Seattle because that's going to be too geographically far away. But this would be an example for everybody how to find some. And I don't generally do like music festivals or any of that stuff. Those are usually not, unless they're super popular and it seems to match your demographics. But we've done marathons before. Some of our best ones have been marathons. We did one that was it was not a gun show. I won't say it's a gun show, but they were selling guns there. It was like a wilderness. It was like I guess it was more like like REI was there. There were a lot of people camping, all kinds of like outdoor stuff. It was a bunch of outdoor stuff that we did really good. We set like 70 appointments at that one. Those kind of events. So look for any kind of events like that. So that can also be another source of these. And we have this on our schedule to do every single month. So every month we look 4 months at least in advance. You should be looking for Easter right now too. So if you're not looking in advance for Easter, then you're missing out. So let's go through the procedure. So if we look at I think I lost the martial arts wealth mastery page.
I have it.
Oh, you do? Okay, why don't you bring it up? Yeah, why don't you bring it up?
Okay, you'll have to make me back host because I couldn't do.
Oh, you made me
I
host?
got it. There we go. Okay.
No, here, I think I got it. Oh,
You
you
go.
got it. Okay, you got it. Okay, so if you do for movies, and you click down, you go down here for hit continue reading there, Mindy.
Okay.
You can see some examples. And the movie strategies, if you move down there further past the kid release example day, here's some examples of what a booth would look like. And there's a better example here further down with it. That one's not a very good one because it doesn't have the spin wheel. I don't think that one's the one. Here, let me share this one, Mindy. Oh, you didn't make me co-host.
It doesn't allow me to make you co-host. I can just, oh, there we go. This time it did.
Okay, so let me share this one. And if you guys go with, there we go. It's under, oh, I know what I did. So live event promotions here. So this is a better example of a booth, but you really don't have to do all this stuff. What you really need to do is have a spin wheel, and I don't love this spin wheel. The best spin wheel is probably this one here. Let's see if the Amazon one comes up. This is one example, and this is another example. And the key point about these spin wheels is you need to make sure that the spin wheel is further out from the table. You can't have one that sits on the table. That's a really key point. If the spin wheel sits on the table, I've seen people do these, and I practiced with them and practiced the script, and I've had them, walk through everything in terms of what to do in this booth, and I couldn't figure out why they didn't do it well. And what ended up happening was I looked at their setup, and their setup was a little bit more like this, where the spin wheel was in the back. And everything here looks great. And this one probably did okay because they had so much stuff here, but this is a pretty elaborate setup, right? They've got a guy with the Ninja Turtle outfit, and they got the dragons and all that. But everything, imagine this without all that stuff, and the spin wheels in the back. So the spin wheel by itself, if you didn't even have a very elaborate setup, and your spin wheel is nice and lit, particularly like this one here. This one has LEDs, and when you spin it, the LEDs go out and back and out and back. You'll get people coming up just because they're attracted to the wheel. Okay, so that's part one. Part two of success with this is, if I can get back where I was. Part two of success with this is the script here. And this comes directly, I mean, you can see this is the booth that we had, and you imagine the spin wheel out from here. This comes right from my school. And this is the script. And the key part about the script, I'll tell you, is this piece right here. The don't have calendar. And when you're practicing with your staff, I know some of you guys did this, and you came back and you said, well, it didn't work. It wasn't very good. And most of the time, when people say it didn't work, it wasn't very good, there's one of two problems. One is the booth wasn't very good. They didn't do a very good job of bringing people over, saying, come on over, spin the wheel, win a prize. They didn't have enough people do that, or they didn't do this part here. When people said they didn't know their calendar, they don't have time, they don't know what's going on, they couldn't set the appointment after they asked about the appointment, they didn't say that that's okay, I can just pencil in a time and you can get back to us if it doesn't work. Which of those times is best? That's the number one issue that people have. They don't do that part of it right, because 80%, 90% of people will tell you they don't have time, or they got to check their calendar, or they resist the first question of appointment. But I've got like 14-year-olds that set 95% appointment rates. I'm not exaggerating on that. I could introduce you to them, and they're not so savvy guys. They're just like regular people, and they're good instructors, but they're not as confident when they're up in front of people that they don't talk to ever, and that people are just walking by in the hallways. But they're really good at doing this part of the script, because we practice it. So this is the number one issue that people have. Actually, this is my old script. Everything's the same on it, but there's a couple other things on here that we should add. So that's the general overview. What questions do you guys have about anything here that we've covered so far? Because it seems like we're missing out on doing enough of these events. Is it you're not getting enough of the events found? You're having trouble when you're getting to the events. You don't think it'll work. What do we want to cover?
Master Moody, I just heard from some of the others that did it last year, some of the movie promotions, that it didn't fare too well. And I don't know if it's because they were doing it wrong, maybe they weren't doing the script right, but it just seemed like they put a lot of effort and money out, and the return wasn't like it was in the past prior to the pandemic. So I don't know if things have turned around. So I'm just curious about that.
The guys that I've seen that have done it that didn't do well recently, when we've talked to them and diagnosed it, A couple people that have done it, they weren't there themselves. So they didn't train their staff, sent the staff to the movie theater with a table and a booth, and then came back crying that they didn't get good results. And to be frank, everybody that I've heard say that, I can tell you with certainty that they didn't train the staff well and they didn't do what I just said. They, number one, didn't have the staff saying, come on over, spin the wheel, win a prize. And you have to do that. You have to stand in front of the table. Number one rule in any kind of tabling type thing for what do they call them? Trade shows, is you stand in front of your table. But if you go to most trade shows, people are sitting behind their table in a chair like this, and they wait for somebody to come up and talk to them about their products. That's the kiss of death for trade shows. About 10% of people at trade shows stand in front of their booth and they talk to people as they go by. And even if you just did that, even if you weren't assertive, that would, double or triple your response rate that you get at a trade show. So that's rule number one. You got to stand in front. You got to make sure you're assertive about talking to people, even if it's just standing there spinning the wheel. If the wheel's got LEDs and going like this out of the spin wheel, then people will start paying attention to you and come over. Because if you think about it, you could have a booth there, you could have a table, you could have your signs. And if people are walking to the movie theater and they're interested in their popcorn, talking to their friend, why should they stop? There's no reason, really. You have to get them out of their mindset of looking at the popcorn, talking to their friend, talking to their kid, whatever. So there has to be something to distract them to get to your booth. So number one thing they didn't do, I'm sure in the cases that we talked about, was that. Number two, when they did the script, they didn't practice it. I'm not saying they didn't look at the script. I'm not even saying they didn't use the script, but it wasn't practiced. So the test I would give, if you were doing the script, or it would be the same test I would give you if you said that you only got 20% of people to set appointments with you when they called you. What would be the test I would do? I'd go ring, 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 and then you'd answer the phone, and then we do the phone script. And then if you did it perfectly, I'd say, well, there must be another problem. What ends up happening is the person I talk to doesn't answer the phone well, and then we know what's wrong. So I'm sure that was mainly the issue. The third thing that it could be was that there wasn't any traffic at the theater. But what we know from the results that are well documented from movies right now is that some of these movies are big hits. So there's a lot of traffic. So it's unlikely in the current state of affairs that we're getting bad results because of traffic. So that's unlikely. Now, here's the other thing. Our guys just did my school, Master Oliver's probably said, we do a lot of stuff with the mall. We have a mall near the school that we go to. And so I can tell you from personal experience, our real data, when we do these mall things, it's only like a couple hours. They do these weird events, like they'll do a bubble day and have kids come, and they do like they have Santa Claus, but Santa Claus only comes for like 2 hours during Christmas. They have this one big festival thing, and it's like he comes for 2 hours. And so we can go there during that 2 hour time frame. It's really cheap. And then we also do the movie theater. But like I can tell you that the results in that really intense time that we get, we love these because we do like 30 or 40 appointments in a couple hours. So it's really effective in that short amount of time frame that we use. And we've been getting the same numbers or better than what we got pre-pandemic. So we'll get 30, 40 appointments during that short amount of time at the mall. So our numbers are the same. If anybody else has any other numbers to report, be happy to hear them. But what you got to remember is if you're getting reports like that, are they the people that didn't do them pre-pandemic? Or are they brand new? If they're brand new, then it's probably diagnosable with a separate issue. But everybody that I've heard have bad results with this has never done it before. So we just need to fix the problem. Does that make sense? We just need to fix the problem. So
yes, sir.
Now, look, guys, you don't want to do movie promotions. That's what Master Oliver wanted me to cover. You don't want to do movie promotions, even if you didn't ask that question, William. I would still tell you these same things for events. Do it for events and festivals. Those are great. In fact, in some ways, I like those better because you can do those for like 8 hours and it's more intense and you get more appointments per hour sometimes than a movie theater. Movie theaters, the one good thing is you can predict the turnout for the most part. And we know Ant-Man's going to be really big. We know like Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be really big and so on. But you also sometimes don't know because you want to do a movie theater. There's not a big movie some months, so you end up having a dud. Also with movie theaters, you have a burst and then a lull and a burst and a lull because they have movies like at 6 and at 8 and at 10. So you have gaps in time when you can't be as productive as others. Whereas like at a festival, it can be productive all day. You know, so you do the marathon, it can be productive for 4 hours and you get all your appointments and then you can leave. So sometimes those can be really, really productive in a short amount of time. And I don't have to burn my staff for 3 days. And it's only going to be 3 or 4 hours. Laguna Beach seemed like it had some that you could do, Jeff. So those were, we didn't get to look in yours in detail. I just didn't want to keep on the ones that on your stuff because we were doing your stuff before. But everybody should have some kind of activities you can do. But if you don't want to do those, it's okay. Don't do those. Pick something else from the marketing Parthenon. We're not telling you you have to do those. So I think sometimes it gets a little misconstrued, like we're saying, well, you have to go do that. You don't have to do that. You have to do something. So if you don't want to do that, fine, replace it with something else. Like birthday parties. I happen to like having my school do birthday parties. I don't want to do them. Right? I'm not going to do them. But I haven't done one in a long time, but I used to do them. So I know how to do them and I know how to make them effective. That's an error also that kind of goes along with what you were asking, William, is that sometimes what happens with these movie theater promotions or event promotions, you decide you're going to do them. My recommendation is always that the chief instructor, the owner of the school does them the first few times so that you can validate what we're talking about and validate how to do the script and make sure you got it down right. Then you can train the other guys to do it well. Because if you don't do that, then, and you send off your part-time staff to do it, you don't really know if you're doing it right. Or if they come back and get worse numbers than you, it's easy for them to tell you that it doesn't work or we did this wrong or it was bad. And then it's hard for you to say with any authority, no, you're full of crap. Right. Just like if you never did an enrollment and I'm telling you, you should get 80% close rate on all your enrollments. Well, I've done tons of enrollments, so I can say to my staff, if you're getting 50% close rate, you're screwing something up. I know that. But if I've never done an enrollment, then it's hard for me to tell them that they're screwing up if I've never done one and they're getting 50%. I'm like, well, okay, you guys are doing something wrong. It's easy for me to say that. Just like you do with martial arts. If they're doing something wrong, you guys are experts at telling them what they did wrong because you've done it. If you'd never done it before, it would be hard for you to have any authority. So I recommend you doing it first. But again, if you don't want to do that, we got plenty of other stuff on the list. Get on that and we'll have you pick something else. So focus on that. Any last questions? I've got a couple minutes here so I can spend a little bit more time. Well, any last questions you guys have before we finish? Or we answered everything so completely and fully that
For the
you guys
birthday party, if I remember right, you have, before they even come in, they have to sign the waiver and then set up, you have them set up the intro as they're walking in.
before they do the class, they have to fill out the information form, sign the guest pass, and they set the appointment. So we asked for the appointment on the way in, and there's a birthday party on the Facebook page. There's a birthday party, a birthday party
Checklist.
permission, a birthday party PowerPoint. So it goes through everything. But and it's got the scripts on it as well. But on the way into any event, now let's switch terminology on events right now. What I mean is any event at your school. So when we do a bullying prevention event, when we do a birthday party, when we do a parent night out, when we do anything. So anytime a new person walks into the school, there's two scenarios. I either have their information before because they've I've gotten a guest roster from a birthday party, or it's something they've registered for. You know, let's say it was a big, huge event I'm doing and I had a landing page and they registered for it. Or it's a birthday party and the parents gave us a guest roster. Okay, so that's a pre-registration thing. If it's pre-registration, we're pre-calling them to get information from them and let them know what's going to go on. And then we're going to ask for the appointment pre-event.
Okay.
If we don't have that information, we're doing this big promotion with the big community event. There's a big birthday. We're sending out 100,000 flyers to the whole community, and people we don't know how many people are going to show up. You show up with your kid. We've never seen you before. You're going to fill out the information, and we're going to, sign your life away, and we're going to ask you for the appointment. No matter what, we're still going to ask for the appointment on the front end on the way in. If you already set the appointment, we're going to confirm it. You're either going to say yes or no. We're going to also do, if you don't want to pencil in, if you don't have a calendar, we're going to pencil in and you can get back to us if it doesn't work, right? We're going to do that on the way in. We're going to set about 50% to 70% of appointments on the way in. Then you're going to do the event, the birthday party in your question. It could be a bullying prevention event. It could be whatever. On the way out, we're going to have some reason to check out. So in the bullying prevention event, it might be they get a video, or they get a little safety information, or they get a prize, or they get something. In the birthday party, it might be they get the gift bag from the birthday party kids, right? If you've ever been to a kid's birthday party, which you have, you get a gift bag from the birthday party kid, right? So they get that at the end. We give those out for the parent.
Right.
They get that. There's a reason to check out. At the checkout, we always ask for the appointment on the way out. So there's a ask for the appointment on the way in. There's an ask for appointment on the way out. At the out, if they've already set the appointment, of course, we just confirm it. We're looking forward to seeing you Monday at 5 o'clock. We're looking forward to seeing you Monday at 6 o'clock. We're looking forward to seeing you Monday at 7:15. We're looking forward to seeing you. And, oh, yeah, we need to get the time for you to use your free 2 weeks of classes. You want to do that Tuesday at 5 or 6:15. Which one's best for you? That's how it works. So we ask on the way in. And if anybody, the 10% that didn't set an appointment, we're going to do a follow-up call. And then they go into our marketing pool for prospects. So I want to be clear, though, that's for any type of event. So it's exactly the same process. So it's not complicated for the staff. Make sense?
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions before we finish? Nope. Okay, don't forget Florida. Make sure you get your, I would book your tickets now. Southwest has a sale. Book the tickets and get ready, and we will see you guys there. Mindy, if you want to hang on for a minute, and everybody will talk to you later. Amanda and Steve Christensen, get your website stuff done. Yeah, hands up, do it.
Yes, sir.
If you need some help, let me know. I'll be happy to get on Zoom with you and get it all cleaned up. Let's do it.
All right. I'm sure we'll need some help.
No, we're good.
No, we're
Okay,
good.
she's good. Let her get it done this week. Okay.
Yes, sir.
7 days countdown.
Next week. Yes.
7-day countdown. 7-day countdown.
Okay.
On
Okay.
that,
Thanks,
I may need to come back to Rev Marketing because I just didn't like the look of my site and the fact
Okay.
that there were things I couldn't adjust.
I have no idea
Okay.
what else.
Let's hold on, Sal or Jeff. Let me get you on there. We'll see you later, Christensen's. Yeah, let's just set an appointment, Jeff. Let's see if I happen to have control of my computer here.
I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, sir.
Yeah, none of that's bad to record.